Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, LMG here, and welcome to something I have not actually been looking forward to. I've been kind of putting this off, dreading it for quite a while. I did spend the last weekend and last few days as well since this came out last week. I did give you my first impressions, by the way, which was about 5 hours in the game, or quite a bit farther. There are 3 acts in this game with 3 different characters. They just have some planned with some DLC, etc. planned later on. We'll talk about that in a bit. The reason I was dreading for this is because this was not my first impressions were rather hopeful, just about 5 or so hours in. But this game does get to you. It does get to you eventually. Here we're a little bit later on. We're at the camp. We find a little bit more about the story, and the story does. When the story is good, it's good. Like, I love the voice acting in this game, especially Arthur's. Kind of a character that's after my own heart. As backed on Kickstarter a few years ago, then was on early access, and they took it out of early access. Then got delayed a little bit. Gearbox became the publisher. That's another controversy we'll talk about in itself. Doing a little bit of stealth action here, and we'll talk about the gameplay mechanics, which actually is my main complaint about the game. Yeah, story-wise, when it's good, it's good. It is great. I love that part about it. It's the other 80 or 90% that I'm really not kind of fond of now. Last couple days, I've been kind of having to sit down, drag myself out to get there. Because like compared this to the Long Dark. Long Dark, their story mode, not so great. Has issues. They're working on it. But when the story is on in this game, it is on. It is great. Great voice acting. Good, interesting plot. But that also, later on, after a couple hours, that becomes farther and farther away. More and few between. Now, there are plenty of side quests and stuff as well. And there is a skill tree for each of your characters. But I have found that that skill tree not really important. And some of them actually don't work. There's a couple skills. For one, the starters, where the zappers and all the other ones don't notice you. That doesn't work. Like, I seriously picked that skill so I wouldn't get detected. And all that, and they just still, every time, they know I'm there. That was quite vexing. And also, I believe, because I watched Jim Sterling's review, and I agree with some of his stuff. I think he was playing on console. Now, I am using a controller, but we are playing on PC. I have played all this on 4K, got perfect frame rate. No issues there. There are definitely bugginess aside. As you can see, we got some really, really not too intelligent NPCs here. But actually, that time they did move where they were supposed to. A little bit of water that is not on Joy. And that actually pops up your little stamina as well. Which they've changed that up a bit. Because they realize. I think on hard mode you can't actually do their earlier survival mechanics. But as I covered that earlier, and kind of when I stopped covering this game, was their survival mechanics, and I got spotted. That's never good. And he's got a bayonet. That's never good. Of course, I didn't have time to switch. Sometimes it's faster to actually just go in the inventory. Oh, ow. And we'll talk about the combat itself real quick because this is showing out some of that. The combat mechanics are not that great. Very simplistic. Not a lot of fun. Also can be a bit frustrating at times. Okay, you should push him, yeah, but your stamina actually goes down fairly quickly. Even the buffs don't seem to help it too much. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the combat. And you will be doing a lot of it because you will get caught quite a bit. Because you find yourself not caring. I don't care if I will run through the entire city of Wellington Wells now. And there are no F's given. I just want to get to my next destination. Get the story going. And this is a mostly procedurally generated world. As you can see here, this is a special area. But mostly procedural generated, which I think is a big deterrent to the game, actually. Some of it's beautiful, but I cannot tell one area from the other. Like, see, when the story, the cutscenes here are on, it's great. Just a little bit of one.
To the train station. We sent them off to Germany because of papier-mâché.
Yeah, those little bits and everything else in between are pretty good. We'll get a little bit more story in here as well because that's the best part about it. Because I'm going to talk about the pros and the cons of this game. Pro, definitely the story. Story, when it's on, it's on. Problem is, getting to that story. Getting to the next quest. I can remember when I was supposed to change, I had to get a boiler suit to go. Yes, because there's a few instances where you have to actually hand over all your stuff, which kind of does suck. Because I'm a bit of a hoarder in this game. They do have a stash you can access and put all your stuff in there and get it for later, but I always forget. Yeah, but talking about a good story about how the gameplay mechanics fall down. Talking about I think it's the bridge to St. Holmes that you have to get across, but you need the boiler suit to go work and fix the bridge from Dr. Faraday's instructions. But unfortunately, you need a boiler suit. And the big problem with the boiler suit is that if you just try to stick to the quest line and stuff, you're not going to have that gear. And I really didn't have an interest of looting like 6 houses to find it because the loot you needed was range roll specific. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it was a range roll, which I had complained about in early access. Because if I just want to do the story, I had to go through 6 houses to find, I believe it was shredded raincoats that I needed. And that was not fun. Not fun at all. Also, a couple other mechanics seem broken. There are times I should have gotten hit with joy that I didn't. Minor other little bugs. Like I said earlier, Jim Sterling said it was unplayable. Perhaps maybe on consoles. I did see a tweet earlier. I'm not a big fan of Compulsion Games' PR department. I've had them in my stream before. They were really nice at the time. They're really nice. But their Twitter PR and some of the community people, they're a little defensive. They're a little on the attack right now, which is understandable. But I think it might be best to just turn the cheek a little. And they're also under attack because they were kind of... I love Arthur's singing, by the way. Under attack because they kind of said this game is kind of reflective of society, prescription-based society, etc., which is, makes the internet angry. I have been decontaminated. Oh, finally could be decontaminated from this game. Oh, proper clothes, very nice. I was in the shower. It's cold. That happened. But anyway, getting back to the game, music. Very nice. That is definitely a plus in it. Though this is what you'll hear a lot though. This right here, this soundtrack. Particularly I picked this part of the footage. Because after a while, you're not gonna like it after a while. It's got its ups and downs. But all soundtrack's good. Graphically, it is nice. But with the procedural generation, you're gonna see a lot of the same stuff. You're gonna start not to care a couple hours in. Other than the story-specific buildings and quest stuff, a lot of it is just the same. And also NPCs. NPCs are a lot of the same. Like the old granny, for instance. She's supposed to be a unique character. There's like 100 of them. There's like NPCs everywhere, and they're all the same lines. One thing I also noticed, I can go through all of Wellington Wells if long as I have the proper suit on. I don't talk to anybody. Nobody ever notices anything. The joy mechanic itself, I mostly ignored. I've just started running through all the sensors and everything. The AI is easy to confuse, get away from. They lose their attention span because they're on drugs, I guess, in about 3 seconds. So, not too important. Not too important there. Yes, sadly, I've wanted to actually start doing drugs just to get all the way through this. I find myself struggling more and more because I've always got to go fetch something in a procedural generated world. Some of it is range roll dependent as well, which does make that a very unhappy time. See what I did there, Bobby? See what I did?
Oh, I must insist that you not traverse the beams of the joy detector without taking your joy, sir.
Shouldn't you beat me up for not taking my joy, knowing I'm not on joy?
Oh, damn it. They were serious about taking my joy, weren't they?
I guess that's semi-serious. Oh, it's the little bits that are good. But there is so much that is not good in between that. Let's have a little thing. Scotch. Plenty of scotch. I ran around in the world because I actually never bribed the bobbies because it doesn't matter. A lot of the gameplay, that's odd. That's alright. Is just not important. You can ignore quite a bit of it. I would just recommend if you do already have it. And also another caveat, just my own little complaint. Lovely weather. I gave up on that much later. Getting one of these mood boosts. Is that Kickstarter backers, you know, the ones that, you know, paid for your game. There was a pre-order bonus that after Gearbox, strangely enough, took over. They offer pre-order bonus because they're a AAA game now. That Kickstarter backers did not receive. It was just a parasol weapon. I don't really care. But also, not even throwing a little caveat. Hey, maybe give us this an unannounced DLC that I'm pretty sure you took from the main game just to sell, because that's a Gearbox tactic if I ever saw one. Nothing. Even if you Kickstarter backed it for the game, no, you gotta pay the DLC. And I don't really gonna give it's more of this. I don't want to do it. Like, I actually have to force myself to play this now. It's a really good... Oh my god, Uncle Jack, I love you. I could sit here and watch him all day. He's one of the main reasons I got into this game.
Sit tight and enjoy the
I
show.
will. Etiquette Minute.
And now it's time for the Uncle Jack Etiquette Minute. You may be wondering, how can I fit in better in Hamlin Village? Well, it's easy.
Drugs?
To get along, go along. If someone tells you it's a lovely day, agree with them. Because of course, it's always a lovely day in Hamlin Village, so don't be afraid of talking to people first. They'll appreciate it. Now, I'm assuming, of course, that you're decently dressed. Huh? Clothes make the man, eh? Indeed, naked people have almost no influence at all in society.
I'd beg to differ,
Don't dress
Jack.
in rags either, or people might think you're a wastrel. Now, what should you do if people are staring at you? Maybe they're asking you if you remember to take your joy. Who cares? Just pop another, and they'll congratulate you and go on about their day. And if
That
things
doesn't seem
to
like
be
a
getting
good idea,
hectic,
Jack.
remember, you can always sit on a bench, relax, and open the Hamlin au Courant. Take a load off. No one will bother you when you're sitting on a bench. Unless you've made them very angry. Well, or, I don't know, watch Jack Worthing on television. I hear he's very good.
Yeah, he actually is. But sadly, not enough in the game as I would liked. I know there's some news, like this is another good news spot that wasn't in early access. But there wasn't quite enough of Jack that I would have liked, though.
Jack, wonderful.
He is!
Please proceed to the 3rd floor, where you will be tested on what you've just relearned.
Yeah, this one level I show up, because this is one of the spots that is actually pretty good. This stuff is pretty good. It's every single thing that is between this spot and the next spot that I have a problem with. The stealth mechanics
Just
are pretty
friendly
broken.
reminder. Uncle Jack don't mention it, but a
Word to the wise.
Proper decent people don't like people what is running, jumping, crouching, spying.
But you can really just
sneaking,
keep going
lurking,
and then
or
just
any
dodge
of
later.
such
It's
like behaviours is what we
mechanics do need.
associate
There's no
with
advancement from what it was in early
minor
access.
disagreements.
Not really that great. This is an interesting little piece here. I just want to show off the good. Obviously, this is not a hateful review by any means. There are good parts of this game, and there are bad parts of this game. Unfortunately, the bad has started to outweigh the good as you play along. Those first 2 hours, you're probably going to have a good time. I almost feel like developers that day, they make the first 2 hours really great, then it's like, oh, we got you. You can't get your money back. At least on Steam. So, overall, this is actually a big disappointment to me, personally. As well as just disappointment, I think, to the community of We Happy Few. Did not quite hit the mark on this one. So my final score is 6 out of 10. I cannot go any higher than 6 on this one. I was I was up towards almost to an 8 on the first half hour or so, but it is just ticked off the more as played it. I am going to finish this one, though I have to do it in little bursts because it has just become so unfun. The gameplay is just so generic and not that great that I wish I could just skip ahead to the next cutscene story and avoid all of that. So if you could, I would not advise paying the $60 price for this. If you have, I'm sorry. This is not the game we had envisioned. Definitely wait for sale. This is, at best, I would say a $30 game. I don't even get me started about the DLC. The DLC, which is another $20 on top of that. So unless you're on actual drugs, I would say give this one a wide berth. So my official score, 6 out of 10. I hope you guys enjoyed. Be sure to hit that like button, it does help out a lot. And I'll see you guys in our next video.